The debate over accountability and legacy within the Golden State Warriors organization has reached a breaking point. Last season, Draymond Green, a four-time NBA champion and Defensive Player of the Year, directly impacted the team's postseason chances, showcasing the stark contrast between their success with him on the court versus his absences. When Green played, the Warriors performed as the fifth best team in the league. However, without him due to suspensions and absences, they fell to 3 games under .500. In the ultra-competitive Western Conference, where every game matters, this drop-off was catastrophic, costing the team a secure playoff spot. Yet this isn't an isolated issue. Draymond Green's history of controversial behavior includes his infamous suspension during the 2016 NBA Finals. His Game 5 absence gave LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers the opening they needed to complete a historic comeback from a 3-1 deficit, robbing the Warriors of what could have been the greatest season in NBA history, following their record-breaking 7-3-9 campaign. These incidents force us to ask, how many more opportunities will be squandered because of Draymond Green's inability to stay composed? How much longer can the Warriors' leadership, particularly Steph Curry, the cornerstone of the dynasty, bear the burden of compensating for these avoidable setbacks? Now, let's delve into the hard truth. Draymond Green's behavior isn't just a personal issue, it's a recurring pattern with severe consequences.
Last year, legitimately, you cost the Golden State Warriors a playoff berth because they were the fifth best team in the league when he was on the court. And they were 3 games under 500 when he wasn't, due to the couple of suspensions that he incurred last season. Now, obviously, people are going to bring up 2016 or so. You cost them a title because, the NBA gave LeBron James that stimulus package when they suspended Draymond Green for the Game 5, and he ultimately came back and won from a 3-1 deficit, and LeBron James in Cleveland won the championship, erasing a 52-year drought in the city of Cleveland and what have you.
Let's be clear, this isn't just about the past. This is about a pattern that continues to plague one of the NBA's most decorated dynasties. The Golden State Warriors are synonymous with excellence, largely thanks to Steph Curry's generational talent and leadership. Yet time and time again, the narrative is hijacked by Draymond Green's inability to control himself. I think about this, a team with arguably the greatest shooter in basketball history and a championship court could be undone by the repeated recklessness of one player. How many more championships could Steph Curry have won? How many opportunities were squandered because the team was forced to play short-handed or distracted by the fallout of Draymond's actions? This isn't just about wins and losses, it's about legacy. Draymond Green's behavior has robbed the Warriors of what could have been an untouchable era of dominance. And worse, it has placed unnecessary pressure on Steph Curry to constantly compensate for the chaos. The Warriors are not just competing against opponents on the court. They're fighting against internal distractions that shouldn't even exist. But the deeper issue here isn't just about the Warriors, it's about accountability or the lack thereof. Draymond has been enabled by a system that allows him to keep testing the limits. Let's dive into the heart of this issue. When do we finally say enough is enough? When do the consequences outweigh the excuses?
Shannon?
Guys, he's what we call a repeat offender. There's a pattern of behavior here, and that we've seen it over the course of Draymond's career. It's not that no one's picking on Draymond. Draymond continuously finds himself putting himself in these situations. So what are we supposed to do? Look, I've been at games in which Draymond has been playing. They allow Draymond to get away with murder. They really do. The way he talks to the officials, Stephen A., and you've been there, because he knows they do not want to eject him because it's going to create an advantage for the opposing team. So they allow him to say things and to go to a line that they wouldn't allow a normal player. Now, maybe he's earned that right because he is a 4-time champion. He's a Defensive Player of the Year. He's a gold medal winning NBA player. But they allow Draymond to get away with things they don't allow other players to get away to. But it's the recidivism that keeps happening to Draymond, is that somehow he keeps finding himself in the exact situation. Too many times of a coincidence is not a coincidence. This is who Draymond is. And he just can't help himself. Even though he said after that situation, Stephen A., in 2016, he cost his team a championship. He believes he cost his team a championship by being suspended Game 5, that he was never going to put himself in that situation. And constantly, he puts himself into this situation. It being upgraded, if they had, let's just say for the sake of argument, they called it at that time, at that point in time, they gave him a flagrant 2 and ejected him. Would that have been enough for you, Stephen A.? If they would have ejected him out of the game at that point in time, would that have been enough of a punishment for, or you still want a game or two on top of that?
I think he should have been ejected for the game. I'm all for that. But I ask you this question, Big Perk. Do you feel the way that you feel? Do you feel the way that you feel because of the play, or do you feel adamant about it needing to be a multi-game suspension because it's Draymond?
It's both. It's both. And part of the reason is because of what Shannon just said. He's a repeat offender. The other part of it is that could have been a season-ending injury, right? Like, you have to, look, I was raised in the house where, damn it, you treat the janitor like you treat the principal, okay? And you're not supposed to get special privileges because you're Draymond Green, and that's Zach Edey and a rookie, right? Taylor Jenkins had every reason in the world to be pissed off after that game because the big fella could have been out for the season. That's not an incident that you take lightly when someone pulls on your Achilles as you trying to run in the opposite direction. So it's a combination of both, S.A., just being real with you.
Okay.
Stephen A., we know we said actions. Draymond gets to control his actions, but his consequences are in the hands of someone else. So if you don't want the consequences, don't do the act. It's really that simple. But somehow, I don't know how, but Draymond seemingly finds himself in this position more times than not, more than any other player, maybe in the history of the game.
Actions always have consequences, but Draymond's repeated transgressions make it feel like he's daring the league to act, and the league's reluctance to impose harsher penalties has only emboldened him further. Here's the bottom line. Draymond Green's behavior doesn't just hurt the Warriors, it hurts the integrity of the NBA itself. How long do we tolerate a player whose recklessness endangers others and threatens the very balance of competition? Now, while the Warriors fight their internal battles, there's another storm brewing in the Eastern Conference. Let's shift our focus to a team quietly but powerfully positioning itself as a legitimate contender, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Particularly when Porzingis comes back. And let's not dismiss Oklahoma City, Big Perk, because Isaiah Hartenstein eventually will be back. Chet Holmgren eventually will be back. And with Shai Gilgeous and the rest of the crew, I think they'll have something to say. So I'm not going to go as far as to say Cleveland's the second best team in the entire NBA. I'm going to say they're coming. I'm going to say they're a legitimate bona fide threat within the Eastern Conference. I'm going to say it would have surprised me at all if the Eastern Conference came down to them and the Boston Celtics as opposed to the Knicks and the Boston Celtics. It remains to be seen.
This is the beauty of the NBA, where teams like Cleveland emerge from the shadows to challenge established powerhouses. It's a reminder that no dynasty is safe, no team untouchable. The league is in constant flux, and greatness requires constant adaptation. Speaking of adaptation, let's talk about coaching. Behind every great team is a coach who understands how to maximize talent and navigate the league's challenges. And there's one name that deserves more recognition: Kenny Atkinson. Let's explore why he might be one of the most underappreciated minds in the NBA today.
Kenny Atkinson. Here's why I want to bring up that name. Put Big Perk and Shannon up on the screen, please, when I'm talking, because I want to see them when I bring this up. Kenny Atkinson was a head coach before. Kenny Atkinson did take the Nets to the playoff for a 42-40 record. Then that second year he was let go. Remember, he was supposed to, it was KD and Kyrie that came. But KD was out the whole first year because he was recovering from his Achilles. And Kyrie had only played 20 games. So he never really had a chance to show what he's showing now. Now, we could sit up there and say being on a Golden State bench with Steve Kerr no doubt helped, because that's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Or we could say, what if he did have KD and Kyrie? He might have never needed to be on Golden State's bench because they would have made some.
Kenny Atkinson's journey isn't just about untapped potential, it's a glaring example of how circumstances can overshadow talent. During his tenure as head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, Atkinson transformed a struggling franchise, leading them to a playoff berth with a 4-2, 4-0 record in the 2001-819 season. However, he never had the chance to coach a fully healthy roster with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Durant missed the entire following season recovering from an Achilles injury, and Kyrie played in only 20 games due to injury. Had Atkinson been given that opportunity, the trajectory of both his career and the Nets' success could have been vastly different. Now, as an assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors, Atkinson's presence is invaluable. Under the mentorship of Steve Kerr, an 8-time NBA champion as a player and coach, Atkinson has added championship-level expertise to his resume. But his story underscores the growing urgency within the Warriors organization itself. Steph Curry, who has redefined basketball with his record-breaking 3,390 career three-pointers, continues to carry the weight of the Warriors' success. Curry has led Golden State to 4 championships, including the historic 2001-516 season when they went 7-3-9, the best regular season record in NBA history. However, with Curry now 35 years old and still averaging 29.4 points per game in the 202-223 season, the window to maximize his prime is narrowing. Every missed opportunity or internal setback, such as Draymond Green's recurring behavioral issues, amplifies the risk of squandering this golden era. The Warriors are at a crossroads. They have the tools to remain competitive, the brilliance of Curry, the leadership of Kerr, and the untapped potential of coaches like Atkinson. But their challenges both on and off the court threaten to overshadow these advantages. If they don't address these issues head-on, they risk wasting not only Atkinson's talents, but also the precious years remaining in Curry's prime. This is bigger than another championship run. It's about solidifying the Warriors' legacy as one of the greatest dynasties in sports history. Will they seize the moment, or will they let distractions and missed opportunities define their downfall? Time is running out and the stakes have never been higher.